Hi everybody, it's Rachel and I am working on a different project today. So I have a few English paper piecing projects going on all at once. Sometimes I get bored of one, so I move on to the next. I don't really look at it as a race to the finish line with any of my quilts. Actually, I tend to not really finish them. I usually finish the top and maybe not the whole quilt. It's just a fun pastime for me. I really enjoy it. It's just like making a puzzle. You know, once you're done, what do? You just break it up and put it away. You know, I just finish the quilt, put it away, or finish the top, put it away, whatever. Sometimes I finish them so I can look at them later, but it's not always the goal. But anyway, so I always have a few projects going. So one project I have going is a Halloween quilt. I have basted most of the quilt, but I have not started stitching it yet, so I thought that I would show you what I'm working on with this quilt, how I did it, how I put it together, how I basted it, my thought process and all of that. So this is called a coffin quilt. It's a different shaped coffin. So the traditional coffin shape actually has the point in the middle, so it's kind of pointed here and then goes down. This has a point more at the top, which is what we think of as like the vampire coffin from movies. So we think of this more as a coffin shape, but the original coffin quilt was more even where the point was. So these two sides would be even with the point in the middle. So this is called a modified coffin technically. And the way that they work is they actually fit together on the long edge, and then you're able to fit the short edges together as well. So they kind of all interlock like that and make a pretty cool pattern. So a lot of people make these with Halloween fabrics. You obviously can do it with any type of fabric. I cut my own patterns for these. So there's an Etsy seller that I'll link to in the description that sells a couple different sizes of these as a PDF pattern, just a couple bucks. And I printed them to manila envelope paper. So what I did is I bought this huge box of manila envelopes. It's a nice thickness, and I actually just cut them to paper size and then ran them right through my printer. It printed, you can see the lines here, and I actually cut all of my templates on the inside of the line just so that they were consistent, because I find if you cut the line itself, sometimes it can be a little smaller or larger depending. So if you consistently cut on the inside or even the outside of the line, then all of your templates will be consistent, and that's the key, is that they're consistent for your quilt that you are working on. So obviously I have a bunch that I have not wrapped fabric on yet. I cut out quite a lot of these, and so I just keep them in this little baggie so that when I'm ready to wrap more fabric I can. I always have Halloween fabrics on hand. Halloween is my favorite holiday, and every time I see a Halloween fabric I buy it. So I have a lot that I haven't even put together for this quilt yet, even though I've put together a lot. So I have these holders. I'm using this for tumbling cosmos as well. I bought one for this quilt as well. And I just stuck a bunch of these all in one spot. So what I did is I cut fabrics. So like I probably have 5 or 6 of these spider web. And I'm trying to make a king size quilt, which is probably pretty ambitious. So what I did is I actually cut it up into quadrants, or really like 6 or 8s, and I tried to spread around the different fabrics among the different quadrants or 6 or 8s so that I wouldn't end up with one top corner all the same fabrics, and then, you know, as I go, like all the other, like I basically tried to give it a variety, if that makes sense. I used 3 different kinds of fabrics. So I used non-directional fabrics, which is what most of these top ones are. And then, or sorry, really 2 kinds of fabrics. So non-directional fabrics, which is what all of these are, and then fussy cut or directional fabrics. So this is directional going this way, and then like this one would be directional going this way. And so what I'm gonna do throughout the quilt is make sure that my directions are all going the same way. So I wouldn't wanna put this one in like this, even with a non-directional. And then, like, I wouldn't want to do something like this, because then this guy is going to be upside down. So I'm going to always try to make sure that my directional fabrics are going the right direction. So that takes a little bit more work as we're stitching, but if I do each section that way, then it should turn out pretty good. So I just have to figure out, you know, which ones are my directional ones, and then kind of make a separate stack for that. And yeah, other than that, I'm basically going to just try to randomly attach these together. I tried to have enough to do the whole quilt so that I could have everything cut and basted for the whole king size quilt so that the variety of fabrics could go throughout, because my worry was if I finish like the top left section, that if I buy new fabric it won't be in the top left section because it's already finished. So that was a little bit of a concern for me, but I think it's a little bit too much to try to baste and cut the entire quilt top. I have quite a lot done already, so I think I'm just gonna go with what I have already done and then maybe just only partially finish and then fill in if I buy new fabrics and stuff. So I think that's the route I'm gonna take at this point. This will be a long-term project either way. So basically my first step for each section that I put together, actually maybe I did 8 sections. I must have done 8 sections. So my first step is going to be to sort out my directional and non-directional fabrics and which way there's going. So like this is directional this way, these are non-directional, and I'm gonna try not to necessarily sort them by color, just sorting them by directionality. So we'll have 3 piles basically. So that's what I'm gonna do real quick. I'll show you once I start stitching them together. Okay, so I have all of my piles sorted. So I did try to put an even amount of my directionals in here. So it looks like I have 7 that are pointing up and 8 that are pointing the other way. And I just want to double check that they all make sense. And I guess basically I'm just going to go ahead and randomly, I keep going back and forth on this quilt on whether I want to make a different pattern, an unusual pattern, rather than just sticking them all together. But I've already done all this work of basting and cutting these fabrics, and so I think I probably would have done something a little bit different if I hadn't already done all this work. But since the work is already done, I think I'm just gonna roll with it and basically just yeah, just grab fabrics and go and not try to think about it too much. You know, I have quite a lot of oranges and blacks in here, so I'm just going to try to mix up what goes next to each other, but I think in the long run you're really not going to notice anything too much. Just my biggest thing is going to make sure that my fabrics that are directional stay directional, and try to mix them up so that they're not all touching each other too. So this will probably get surrounded by non-directional, and then I'll add a directional and so on and so forth. So these are pretty straightforward to stitch together, and I guess this will be my top. I don't know how far wide. Let's see, how many do I have? I guess I can figure out the math of how far wide and tall I need to go. I think I did the math already, but I don't know where I put it. Might be on my phone, but I guess I can just start stitching because it doesn't really matter at this point how far tall and wide. So this will be my top edge either way. So you're just gonna line them up so the long edges are touching each other. And I bought something new actually. I have the Sew Tights, and I bought the 3-pack that comes with the different sizes. I do like the bars because they fit really good here, but I really like the little dots, and I accidentally lost my dots. So someone online had suggested in one of the groups that I was in using hijab, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but the headdress that Muslim women wear, magnets, and they're nice and colorful because you usually can see them, and they're used to keep the headdress on their head a little bit better. And they're nice, really strong magnets, and they've actually worked out really well. So that's what I've been using for the past couple weeks. It's a pack of 2, 4, I think there were 8 on here, and it was like $10 or something on Amazon. And so that was actually a pretty good deal. So I would definitely suggest them. I wasn't sure how strong they would be. They work a lot better on these because the paper is a little thinner on the paper pieces. Cardboard's a little bit thicker. They do work well, but they're not quite as strong, so using more than one will help you keep everything in place. So I just pulled out orange and black thread. I figured that would probably pretty much cover all my bases on this. You could also just use like a neutral gray. That was going to be my other option, but I didn't really have a good one, so I just went with orange and black since I have those and I don't really use it for anything else. And we will just get to sewing. So I'll sew a couple edges and fast motion and show you kind of how it all comes together. So we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so as you guys know, I like to not have to cut my thread if I don't have to. So when I open this up, this is going to go this way because this is, like I said, I'm going to sew it so that all the directional fabrics are going here. And so my thread ended in this corner. I could either go down and then keep going this way, or I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go across here and then I'll have something else here and go up, and that'll probably finish this round because I'm planning on this being my top row anyways. But that'll get me 3 sides that are all stitched together, and then probably where I'll restart is here, and then I don't know, maybe go down or whatever. But the edges are probably going to be the hardest to have some sort of pattern. Once I'm in the thick of it, it won't be so bad. But right now we'll go across and then I'll stitch one more up and we'll have 4 pieces together and see what it looks like. Okay, so we have these all together. So next we go non-busy. Let's a lot of black together. And I can do these. I think I'll do those because I got a couple of those pumpkins. So next we're going to pick this. So it's just going to be pick and choose. I'm not really going to do a ton of rhyme or reason. I'm just trying to mix up the colors and make it fun. So we will again line this up. You want to make sure long edge to long edge so that it makes sense the way you're stitching it. Use these dots. 2 of them are perfect. And then just keep stitching, and then we'll zoom out a little and show you the 4 pieces. First 4 pieces of my quilt together. Yay! Alright, we'll get to stitching. Alright, so we have 4 pieces together. Let me zoom out a little. So we have 4 pieces together, so I would just probably cut my thread here and then just keep going. So like this one was facing like this, so I might put this guy down here just to get some of those directional fabrics put in as well. You could do the black here, so I could probably come down like this, and then go that way, and you know, just try to be mindful of ways that you can go to keep cutting your thread as little as possible is basically the best way to go about it. So I'll probably pick at this quilt a little bit along with my other one. I just like to switch it up and try something different and work on different projects so I don't get bored. So hopefully you liked seeing a little bit of this project. I'll certainly check in again later with a little bit more progress on it as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments below. Like I said, I'll put the link to the papers, the PDF file that I used to create these papers. And as usual, if you like this video, please check the like button. And if you like all of my videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel, as I don't really post them consistently, so YouTube will alert you when I do post a new video. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye everybody.